So now let's run back out here, right? Fix any health issues. We looked at the status tab on the dashboard, make sure we understand that. Context Explorer, resolve all indications of compromise, go through those, understand them, maybe send people out to those hosts to verify that nothing's been compromised. We're learning, and also possibly some user education there. So let's go to connection events and make sure the time is set for 1 day and expanding, not static. We're going to start blacklisting IPs, start blacklisting URLs, and then we're going to go, why did you go there? More user education, and then we're going to switch to some different views. There's a lot to this part right here. So I'm going to come out here and we're going to go to analysis connection events. Now I'm going to come over here, and the one thing you guys, make sure this says expanding. Now I do use static, and the reason I use static, and you'll see sometimes it just changes the static, which is annoying. I want to go to 1 day and make sure it's not static. It was about to be expanding, right? I want it to keep going and that window keep moving. I'll do static when I'm trying to do some reports in a period in time. I'll say, hey, give me this period in time. Give me a static time window that doesn't change so I can get a report out of that. In this case here, this is what I want. I'm going to apply, and I'm going to keep getting new events here. I'll keep expanding. If I don't do that, then it would just stop giving me new events. So here I am. I'm seeing some allows. Notice that my host here, well, I fixed this indication of compromise. I marked it as resolved, didn't I? This is another way to get to that page, isn't it? So I can come down here. Hopefully I can change this. And notice that I can see that this is the host that we went to, and I marked it as resolved, and that I have changed the operating system right here to Windows 10. And there's no indication of compromise. The applications that are on this host, and that we've seen. Remember, I haven't really done much. So where's all these come from? When I go out to a website, this is all that runs on there. I didn't go to any of that stuff. And then we'll see all the malware that it's seen, right? And so also then the protocols. Now, I'm going to look at this one because this shows that I still have indication of compromise. I thought I said resolve the security intelligence for that DNS phishing site, but let's go see, try to make that bigger this time. It takes a second to come up. And again, this is the inside host. It's always better if they can, in AD in this case, we get the AD information. But in here, the first thing I want to do is say, I know what you are. I'm going to help you find the vulnerabilities because I happen to know what this one is. I'm going to go ahead and save this one. Okay, and so we'll do that. And then malware detected. I think I must have sent more malware. I probably have something open there because I remember resolving this one. So I know that I resolved this, but I probably have that page open and it's still getting it. But I'll mark this resolved for now. We'll see those go away and we'll see if it comes back. Again, since I did that attack, I knew it was there. I knew it's not a problem. It's very possible that you may call the help desk and send someone out to that host. At least find out why they did that. So if I was to refresh this page, we'll see that these statuses should go away and say, I don't have an indication of compromise. Now, the one thing I want to see though is here's something from Ireland. Let's see what that one's about. And who knows, some Microsoft probably download over in Ireland. We can come over here and look at the URLs. And I could say something like, this guy's really bad. Here's a YouTube, whatever. And I'll say this one's bad. Well, I'm going to start blacklisting stuff I don't understand, right? That looks bad to me that maybe we shouldn't be on. I can blacklist the domain or that current URL. I'll just go to the domain itself, and that would include any subdomain on that. So it's going to be over here on the right. It's going to tell me, yeah, I want to blacklist that. Okay, but I also blacklisted YouTube as well at that point because I chose the domain. I could also come here to this host and notice what I'm seeing here. Some of these hosts are left over and haven't gone out yet from when my network discovery wasn't quite configured correctly and was learning on the internet. Notice I'm not learning any new hosts on the internet now. But I can blacklist this host, say that's a bad guy. I'm going to come in here, find out if they're a bad guy. Now, one of the things I'm going to do from here to find those is I'm going to go here to search. And then I'm going to look here at action. right? I could put in some sort of user, who's the initiator user. The reason in this case here, I want to say, actually, I want to look at action, not reason. And there's some different things I can look at here. The initiator IP or responder. So when Sally calls, says, hey, I can't log in somewhere, I can put in as her user and then find out where and then say which, was blocked and, and find out who it was. I could also put in IPs, protocols, geolocation information, say if it's specific to device. SSL, one of the things that I use though, I could use the application, HTTP, Chrome, something like that as a client. And now I can come down here to the application and look for Facebook. And then I could also just go to facebook.com or whatever it is, the URL. And that's probably about all I used in here. But in the search, it's very powerful when you have millions of events in here that you understand how to search. So let me save this. Okay, there we go right there. Now I'm looking at these blocks. And now I'm saying, hey, someone went out to the site and they're blocking and it's, Russia, freeapplication.com, whatever, right? We know it's bad or something. We see that. And these guys are going out here. I'm going to blacklist this guy. Oops, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I can always blacklist. Kind of depends on your network. There are some places where I can never do this and it's annoying. But, a typical smaller banks, regional banks, United States banks, something that is not worldwide and, it's not going to bring down the financial firms of America, then we usually like to blacklist, right, on something like this. We see that it's bad. It's being blocked anyways, right? Here's some block with reset, file blocks. I don't know how many pages we have here. Let's take a look here. But this is a way to look through the blocks. This is a way to do it and say, what is all this, right? Who is this guy, right? We're going to go ahead and look now. Hold on. Before I blacklist, and I just did that last time, I usually do this. I'll come in and do a who is. Now, another way to do that, I'll show you here while that's opening up. Go to lookup here, and I can look up a geolocation. This is for IP address, right? So, what is the IP address? 1.1.1.1. I'm seeing this address here. I can say, where is that? I know it's in Germany, so that doesn't help me. URL, and then who is. So this is a nice little analysis section right here that was new somewhere in the 6 code it showed up. I don't remember where, but that's kind of nice to have there. But this case here, oh, look at this, Facebook. Oh my gosh, kind of weird that was over in Germany, Facebook, right? So the one thing I want to be careful of is a lot of times. It's if I see something that's bad, it's an ISP, or it's something I just don't want to block. Akamai, right? You see that a lot. So I'll do this and I'll blacklist this guy. It's Facebook out of Germany. Forget about it. It was blocked anyways, right? They never got to that page. Now, the other thing is, did someone call you? Are you having a problem? Someone saying I can't get to a site, right? So I'm not as worried about blocking these because no one's complained, and this was a day ago. Right? But we know that's Facebook out of Germany for whatever reason, right? Forget that. Anyways, again, these have already been blocked. So who's this guy now? Who is? So we'll just double check. Get rid of that guy there. Make sure it's not an ISP. A lot of times you end up blocking your ISP. This one, Limelight Networks, maybe not. I might think it's something to do with an ISP or something. Maybe I might want to look more into what this is, right? Notice I'm going to do, there's some research involved in something like this. All right. So let's go back over here. Now I want to do something. I want to come here and let's go back here to connection events. We'll get rid of that search and we'll bring this back. Now I want to do a little bit more stuff. Someone said they were allowed or they were blocked. And who blocked the rule? Now, if you watch back at some other videos when I was doing the file policy, IPS policy, kind of showed you this already. But what I like to do is go to table view. Table view. And this table view shows me what rule was allowing this. Sally can't get to a site, right? We type in Sally, we search on Sally. We go to table view, we see it was blocked, responder IP. And I'm going to come all the way over here, and it's right there, a little too far. And access control rule. Right, this is the rule that it was allowed. That's my last rule. I have a permit IP any and at the end. This is also important. So again, if I went and searched on block, then it would show us all the rules that are blocking these guys. All right, so I've got the table view, really, really important. I always run out there to find out what rule in my ACP is responding to this, either positively or blocking it. The next thing I'm going to do inside here is go to back to events first. And then I want to switch some workflows because we're just looking at connection events, and there's a lot more that we can do here. I can switch workflow and say, give me connections by applications. Connections by applications. And notice, now we're going to go look in here, and you'll see things like this. There's nothing necessarily wrong here unless you don't understand it, right? So this is pretty common, something like this anyways. But let's go back here, and there's a lot we can do. Connections by initiator. Now you want to look at this. Who's initiating the most connections? If it's Bob in sales, that's a problem. I would run out there and look at his host, right? Who's got 5,000 connections here? Who is this guy, right? So I could left click here and drill down and get some more information about that user, right? So, you know, if everyone's down here and this is Bob in sales, that would probably indicate a problem. Now, this might be, I had something like this and I was like, oh my gosh, you guys got a problem, I got to find this. Well, it was a What's Up Gold server, right? It was making like 50,000. It kind of made sense, right? It was only wrong if we didn't understand it, right? So let's keep going down here. We can do traffic by application. Probably what I want is unique responders by initiator. Something like that will indicate attack. Again, this looks pretty good. Something like this. Let's come down here, look at a couple more. Traffic over time. That's kind of nice. Benchmark. What's going on? Unique responders, right? On your who's responding from initiators. Unique, and if you find someone that's way out of whack, then we're going to be okay, right? Then we want to go out and look at that. Okay, very good stuff. Let's go up here now to security intelligence. Security intelligence. So not a lot here right now. Only looking at the last day. This is when I was putting in those IP addresses, and they were going out to those sites. And so we can see that these are all blocked. These would not be allowed. These are only allowed because I have objects in monitor mode, right? Let's go out and look at that. This is not what we want. We want this in our ACP. Only do this because I was in class and I want to get some data through, right? I would never do this in production. So let's go out and take a look. I know I've said that like 4 or 5 times because I'm really adamant about, hey, security intelligence, Cisco has these objects in here. The IPs, URLs, DNS that are in there, they're really, really bad guys, right? We don't want them. They're not going to necessarily be false positives, not that I could imagine. So I would come under here and say block, take these from monitor only mode. Now I do have to redeploy, right? But this would stop what I'm seeing as a monitor in my security intelligence. Again, we only did that just to get to this section so I can get some data. So I'll save that, and then next time we deploy, that will take effect. That's how you would fix that if you had done that. Now, just a couple other things here. Anything you see in here, there's nothing for you to do unless you say, oh, I didn't want that one blacklisted or something like that. I could whitelist it, which would override this blacklist. I don't recommend something like that in here because it's probably not a false positive. It's probably not bad. It's probably not good. It's absolutely bad. All these guys are. But you don't want to blacklist this guy. That's my DNS server. So he was heading out is how we found it, going from inside out. And the IPS policy I have my very first rule says, nope, that's a bad one. We're going to block you. Okay. Now, I typically see a bunch. So you know what I'm doing in here? I'm really not doing anything. I'm learning. The other thing is if someone was to come out here and they went out to a site and it was blocked, I would try to find out who it was. And that way I can call them and do user education. It's very rare I take something out. I'm just learning here. Under table view, then I'm going to come over here and see what we can get. Now on these right here, I might not, see a URL, something like that. Here's one right here. This guy's bad. I had blacklisted this guy, right? And then this guy, here's a DNS query that I did on purpose out of my security intelligence, and it found out. So we could find out who this is, right? And say, why are you going to that site? That's what we kind of want to do. So let's do one more thing. I want to switch workflow. Security intelligence summary. Just a couple things. You got malware. This is kind of just a summary of what we're seeing. Usually these numbers are pretty big. And then one last thing here, security intelligence with DNS details. And so now this is telling us the DNS response, the query, where it went. We get some information, not a lot in my demo here. As a matter of fact, before I move on, let's go out here. Here, I think I have, yep. And let's go to security intelligence events here. This is the demo. I should have spent more time out here. There's a lot more out here, isn't there? So let's let this run for a second. And so we can see that there's a lot of really bad stuff in this. We got blocks it allows, and we can do some network analysis, blacklist some hosts and so on. But in this case here, in my security intelligence events, we can see that I have quite a bit of events here. A lot of these were sinkholes blocks, interactive blocks with reset. So these were blocked, and we can get some more information about the websites, the URLs that they were going to, and so on. So lots of great stuff here. The one thing that they did in this demo, and why we're not just seeing everything blocked and why it says IP monitor instead, is the same reason I had done it. They said, hey, for this demo to work, we got to let some data through security intelligence, right? Security intelligence is pretty powerful, and it's really hard for us to get data through to do network analysis for training and classes and demos. And this was the same example, which is why we're just not seeing everything blocked. Let's take a look and see if we do a switch workflow here and see what they give us on the DNS details here. You know, one second, this is going to run, and I hope that they give us a lot of good information. This is something I would more see at a customer, something like this, right? So security intelligence category, these are the actual objects that blocked it, objects in our security intelligence. Some of the different queries that we had CNC sinkholes and stuff like that. So that's pretty common there, right there. Let's go ahead and I want to take a look. One more thing. I want to look at their connection events because they had some really good stuff in here for us to go and say, hey, this should be blacklisted. Hey, let's go see if maybe this should be whitelisted. Let's do a who is and see if we can find out what this is. Now, we know a lot of this came through because they're doing a monitoring on the security intelligence. So this one was a blocked. This came from where? Chile, right? So we could say, what is this guy? He's the second one down. I'll scroll over and see. I'm not really seeing much in the sense of where they were going or what they were doing. They were blocked, right, already. So let's see if we can do a who is, if that'll even work on this demo. This is something that I would do. This is going out to Chile. We don't do business out there. This is showing up as a block. This would be one of those that I would probably just blacklist. These are the kind of things that you have to decide in the action you have to take. So let's see what this is. It's like the phone company. It's probably like their provider of some sort. Who knows? You know, it's hard to sometimes make a decision, isn't it, on something like this? And sometimes you're like, are we security over connectivity, or are we connectivity over security? I have customers that are connectivity over security, but a lot of them are like, let's block it and see if somebody calls. Okay. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to go on to the next section here. Go to connection, security, intelligence. And we did that. So table view. Now, one of the things we're going to notice is the CNC sites that are people going to, right? And then we're going to call them and say, why'd you go to chickenkiller.com? You know, stuff like that. So there's user education, all this. We're blacklisting, we're understanding, and we're learning. The next thing we're going to do is go and do the most important part every day. The other stuff really isn't that hard. We just go through it. We're learning. But in this case here, we have to spend more time going through the IPS events.